What's up, everybody? This is Jesse from Mullen the Maker. Today on the podcast, we have Nick Key from Key Woodworks. Make sure you follow him on Instagram, YouTube, all the above. He has a ton of knowledge on videography stuff, audio engineering stuff, cinematography. He just is a wealth of knowledge, and it was really fun picking his brain on a lot of different topics, and just a good time hanging out. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Let's get into it.
So what's the flag you have up there for? I know you've said it before, I can't remember.
The Tennessee flag?
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Behind Jesse?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the Tennessee flag.
You couldn't take a guess, Brandon?
That couldn't know.
What's that flag behind you, Brandon? I don't know what that one is. What's that one?
Woodpeckers?
No.
It's rustic fame. Okay. I actually didn't make that.
Oh, you didn't make that one?
My buddy Oscar from OSS Woodworks. He lives like a couple blocks away. He made it.
Oh, nice.
Brought it over.
Nice.
Yeah. I've never made a flag, surprisingly.
Yeah, I've only made a few, and every time I've made it, I've been super, afraid that I'm going to mess up the ratio between the union and the stripes, because it's got to be specific to how big you make the flag. Otherwise, it'll look stupid, and then you'll be like a traitor.
Yep. That's why I never did it.
It's so obvious, too.
Cam taught me that, Edmund's Woodshop or whatever. I had no idea that was a... I mean, I knew that was a thing, but I didn't know that was like a big controversial thing when making flags. And it's a big deal.
It's easy to point out, too. When somebody's off, you're like, oh, that doesn't look right.
Something's weird.
Yeah, why is there 44 stars?
We didn't like those other states.
I think that's the only flag I've ever made.
Only 3. You're safe with 3.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I got the... Yeah. There's a special orientation for them 3. I'm sure I screwed it up.
When you move to Texas, they've only got 1.
Yeah. Just one big star.
That's right.
That's funny.
Well, Nick, let me just go ahead and get this out in the air, because I feel like I need to clear this. It was 100% Brandon's fault that we missed the podcast last week.
I'm pretty positive it's not at all my fault, but, whatever.
Well, shoot, Monday morning rolled around, and I was like, wait a minute. Was there something that I was supposed to do last night?
Something.
I could have sworn there was something on my calendar, but nothing came up.
Man, I was going crazy last week trying to prepare. I've been out of town. I was in Gatlinburg for the last 7 days. Which I totally was going to do the podcast from my hotel room in Gatlinburg on the Sunday night, because I left Saturday. But I was trying to get ready and just running around, and I saw Brandon's text, and I completely took it wrong. Like, I could just completely, when I read it, I skimmed over it and was like, okay. And then I just got off. I was like, all right, he said something to Nick. Great.
As usual.
Yeah. and I was wrong. I was totally wrong. He had not talked to you, and I messed that up, and I apologize. But I still like to blame Brandon any chance I get.
I appreciate
that.
that.
I would too.
Yeah. Everybody does. It's fine.
Anyway, we're glad to have you on this time, man.
Yeah.
So you do a ton of woodworking, and then also you are an excellent, I don't know what you call it, but you're just extremely knowledgeable in the audio video field as well. So that's what you do on your day-to-day basis, right?
Yeah, my full-time gig is a media producer for a mega church here in Central Kentucky. So 9 to 5, I'm audio video all day long.
Gotcha. So woodworking is kind of just the hobby on its own as well, right?
Yeah, straight up hobby.
Yeah,
just
I didn't know that about you. I thought when we first met that you were just really smart at audio and video, because your woodworking does not appear to be a hobby. I mean, you're damn good at woodworking.
Oh, I thought you were going to say my woodworking appears to be super amateur.
Because it's pretty obvious you're not a full-time woodworker, so.
Yeah.
Everything's
of course
black.
He doesn't do woodworking
Just puts
full-time.
ink on all their stuff. I don't know.
Everything's black. Yeah.
No, I'm being serious. But I was impressed by your knowledge on the audio video part of it, and then I realized later on that it's your full time.
There's a reason.
Stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do.
So I thoroughly enjoyed your last video that you put out. I guess you're kind of making that transition of being both a woodworking channel and doing some audio, video kind of how-to stuff.
Yeah, I kind of going back to like even in February of this year back at Workbench Con, I wanted to make a shift with my channel and lean more into what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I don't know if I got like gun shy and just kind of pulled back from that idea because I didn't think that it would go well, or I didn't have time, or whatever the case may be. I just didn't make any videos pertaining to what I did, on a day-to-day basis at work. But last month, someone was like, "Hey, I've got all these issues with Premiere. Can you just tell me, how do I get started?" And I was like, I've had enough people ask me about this stuff. I just need to put a video so I don't have to explain this every time through DMs, because who wants to respond to a DM, on a daily basis with the exact same answer of, well, you need to do this, to do this, and do this, and do this. Right. When it's so much easier to just say, hey, I've got a YouTube video on this, and here's the link. Right. Go watch it and tell me if you got any questions about it. So that's what I ended up doing.
Typically at the end of the week, you're like, Jesse, I've explained this to you at least 4 times this week.
Right.
It's the same damn answer as it was the last time.
I just got off the phone with Brandon, and I'm tired of this crap.
You're like, how many times do I have to tell you, you right-click. You right-click it.
And buy a Mac, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Right.
I did do that. No, I've hounded you over, I'd say the last year or so on several questions, and you've been nothing but helpful, man, and I really appreciate it.
Same.
It's my pleasure.
I get myself into some pickles on this one because I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to the audio-visual part of this thing.
Yeah, it's a completely different beast. And just like woodworking, you can go as deep as you want to. Like if you want to do all hand tools, you can do all hand tools. If you want to be a hybrid worker, you can do that. And it's the same thing with audio video. If you want to go, completely cinematic and be, all manual focus, pulling lights all the time, doing all that, or you just, set your camera up and put it on record and just go for it. It is what it is.
Or just use your phone like Keith.
Right. Or you just use an iPhone like Keith. Keith and Jason both just use their iPhones, and it just drives me freaking bonkers.
I can't believe how, it's still decent video. I'm surprised.
Oh, it's great. It's incredible. KJ has said multiple times that he has had issues in his shop where color shifts and stuff like that, where, from one side of the shop, something is more magenta than the other side, and he'll have to correct that in post. But Jason doesn't touch any of it at all. And he's like literally the 1% that is so lucky that his shop is so well lit and nothing is different, that he can shoot from any angle in his shop and it all looks great, and his phone does fine. It's infuriating.
Jason with Bourbon Moth, he shoots with just an iPhone? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
crazy.
Jason Bourbon Moth is all iPhone.
I had no idea.
He edits everything on his iPad too. And it's just
with InShot.
It drives me insane.
That's amazing.
I do notice he uses the same song in every single video. He does it.
That's kind of like his
straight. Yeah, now it's
that's
like
his trademark.
No, but like the fact that he shoots on an iPhone, he uses the same song. The whole layout's so simple that he's just like, like editing's a piece of cake.
Plug it in and let it rip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like he's InShot's biggest fanboy.
Right.
He loves InShot.
I know.
I've put more into the filming of this podcast that 23 people's going to see than he does in his videos for YouTube that get hundreds of thousands of views.
I know.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just turn the camera. Oh, 260,000 subs. I don't know. It's weird.
Right.
I'm over here playing Russian roulette in the corner because I'm sad and I got way less. Took me 2 years.
They got dark real fast, Brandon.
Just being realistic.
Oh,
don't worry, I live in California. Bad. I can't have anything powerful enough to kill anybody anyway.
Yeah. I say, I can't be that bad. Nick does all your work for you.
That's accurate.
That's right.
I'm telling you right now,
bad.
if I had to edit all my videos still on my own, I would not be doing YouTube. No.
So when
even the last one, I was like, oh, I'll just do it myself. And I got like 3 minutes in. I'm like, nope, uploading this to Nick's folder.
So what's
Which one was that?
The patio cover.
Oh, the patio video. Yeah.
I'm really glad I did now because you made like 4,000 cuts in it, and I was like, I would never have done that much work.
Pretty much a billion cuts.
It was cool though. It worked good.
So for someone that's just getting into, let's say they buy a DSLR and they want to set it up in their shop, what would you recommend is like the first step to improve just from being completely on like automatic and auto adjust, the iOS, everything's automatic? What would be something that you would tell that person to like increase the quality of the camera or the video right off the bat? Something, the first thing you would do.
The very first thing you want to do is turn it into shooting full manual mode, so where you have complete control over the settings. And the very first rule of videography you want to learn is the 180 degree rule. And that is comes back from the days of shooting film, is where your shutter was 180 degrees from your frame rate. And that is basically, in today's terms, 2 times your frame rate is what your shutter speed needs to be. So if you're shooting 24 frames per second, you want to shoot 1/48th of a second. DSLRs can't really do that, so 1/50th is close enough. So that's pretty much like rule number 1. That's what you want to do, and that's going to affect your motion blur. And motion blur, in simple terms, is how your eyes see movement. So if you were to shake your fingers in front of your face, you don't see your fingers sharp and crisp as they move in front of your eyes, and that's motion blur. And as you increase your shutter speed to be faster, you'll see more crisp fingers, and that decreases your motion blur, which makes it look artificial. So having more correct motion blur makes everything look more realistic, and your brain interprets it more, and it just ups your game with more of a realistic video. Mm-hmm. So if you're shooting automatic, what your camera's going to do is, the first thing it will do is crank that shutter to get your exposure correct. So you don't really want to do that because of the motion blur. Is that making any sense?
Yeah.
So you're wanting to be in control of that, so that you make sure you look correct on screen first. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to look real like jittery.
When I first got like a LED or LCD TV, it was weird because everything looked like super.
Yeah, and they call that the smooth motion. Mm-hmm. And every time I've ever seen that on TVs, I turn it off immediately because it doesn't look realistic.
We took a TV back. I was like, it's stupid. It looks like you're in the room almost, like it's not cinematic whatsoever. It's like, what is this crap?
That true motion, it came out, man, like in the early mid-2000s, and it was all the rage because it looks great with sports.
Right.
Because sports is something that you want to see more motion as it happens because it's fast-paced. But everyday life doesn't happen like that. So when you're watching somebody walk through a room, you want to see a little bit of blur because that's real life.
Yeah, and you can see like the camera shaking, and it was weird.
Yeah, true motion. Turn it off if you got it.
So what frame?
That only makes sense because Nick explained that to me at least 12 times. I still to this day will
really?
I still to this day will go back in our DMs because the
awesome.
The nice thing about IG is that you can go back real far in the DMs as long as you don't delete it or whatever. And I'll still go way back and see what you explained to me in those settings of what I need to do in my cameras.
See, you're far less lazy than me. I just asked him again like 2 days ago.
Right. Yeah, Brandon's like, hey, what'd you say yesterday?
I know you said this before. Probably multiple times.
And Nick, you have a pretty good little quick video on that, what you just explained as well, right? On your YouTube channel?
I do. I think I titled it 4 Settings for Cinematic Footage. Mm-hmm. And I think I just keyworded it cinematic because YouTube loves that word. It's not necessarily cinematic. It's more or less of correct footage so that it looks more like real life. Because I guess everybody correlates cinematic to what you see in the movies, and that's correct because that's how they shoot, but they shoot that way because that's how real life looks. So, I mean, if they're doing it, everybody else should be doing it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Is that you have 2 channels or no?
I do have 2 channels. I only have 1 video on my second channel because that was where I was like, I'm gonna launch the second channel and I'll just go all video stuff on that. And then I put 1 up, and then I was like, nah.
Why? Why are you dragging your feet? You just feel like it wasn't going to be worth your time, or?
It was just one of those things where I was like, I don't know if I want to like shift completely and like lean into a second channel, or do I keep doing what I'm doing with Key Woodworks and then just pepper in what I do on a day-to-day basis, still related to woodworking, or do I abandon that and, completely separate myself, which is what I wanted to do originally, just drop the woodworking altogether and be Nick Key, a personality that knows audio video.
Oh, okay. I got
so,
you.
Yeah, it was a completely separate channel.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, it's just too much time. I don't really want to pursue that. And then it just kind of fell by the wayside.
Well, you do it every day, all day. I'm sure you're.
Yeah, and I think that's my biggest hang up is that 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, I'm doing that on a day-to-day basis, and then I don't want to come home and regurgitate everything I just did all day for YouTube for a channel. So
yeah, like
I was like,
I'd
rather go to the shop and make something, and then on a Saturday, like what I'm planning on doing now is like every other video be something with audio video. So I just put out an intro to Premiere for like very basic beginners. So if you've never used Premiere before, it'd be a great start to open the project up and get started and know some quick hotkeys and edit and export. I plan on doing a build next, and then probably come back and do some more Premiere stuff, and then do builds, and then do another video on audio, do another build, and come back and do some more in-depth editing tricks and tips and stuff like that. So I'll kind of just bounce back and forth and kind of make my channel more of a woodworking, but that's not my day job. And hopefully people will pick up that that's not what I do for a living, but the audio video is what I do for a living. So I don't know. It's just something that I'd rather do than have a completely separate channel that I'm trying to also cater to.
Both. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I know you said that your last video was for beginners, but I've been using Premiere for almost a year, and I learned at least 4 brand new things that I had no damn idea.
Really?
I need to watch it.
No
I'm
clue.
sure
I had no clue.
A bunch of stuff I don't know.
Well, one, the organization, the explanation on it is excellent.
Yeah.
No matter if you're a beginner or if you've been doing it for 2 or 3 years, that is so true. I'm not nearly as organized as I need to be when I'm making a video or like getting my raw video in and separate it and stuff. And then also there was one step there that I'd never done before where you imported the videos into Premiere and then you made a sequence, I think is what it was, and put those in there. Yeah, I just always have imported the videos into Adobe Premiere and then just double clicked on them, and then up in the top left-hand corner, I cut them and throw them down to the timeline. I had no idea even what you were doing there, but that was really cool.
Yeah. I mean, that just goes back to more organization stuff.
Right.
I mean, like I said in my video, the more organized you are, the faster you can be and the quicker you can get that video done and out. And I mean, Brandon knows this. The faster I can do it, the least amount I'm going to charge him to do it.
I love it when Nick's organized.
That's right.
It still amazes me almost every time when I'm like, how much? You're like, 2 hours. I'm like, bro, that would have taken me 8 to 10 hours guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
As
He's got to
long
be
as
over there just like, just going ape shit. Well, I mean, push.
Yeah, it is really crazy. I've had some people watch me. We had some interns over the summer, actually last summer, and they watched me cut our television show together, and I think I did it in probably 10 minutes because I just do it every week. Every Monday, I would cut our television show together, and it has to be 57 minutes, 16 minutes, and 0 frames every time because that's our hour-long slot for our program. So every time I'd have to cut this and that and rearrange this and this and that and this and that. And it takes me no time because it's brainless now. It's just like a muscle memory thing. And I was doing all of these keystrokes, and I'd, hit this key, hit that key, this key, and the mouse wouldn't move. And they'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Stuff's just happening.
It's just flowing now. Like I just have been doing this so long that my brain and my hands just hit these keys so fast that everything just flies. And it's just one of those things where you do something so long that it's become second nature. I mean, it's just like woodworking. You cut so many dovetails by hand. I mean, people are so amazed, but you're like, I'm just cutting dovetails. I don't know what's different about it.
Right.
But it's just one of those things. Like the more you do it, the more you know it, the easier it is, and the more comfortable you are with it.
Yeah, I've opened up Premiere. I have Premiere. I have the Adobe Suite, but I don't ever edit it on it. I edit on my iPad using LumaFusion, which is
I love LumaFusion.
I love it too, and I've used it for over 2 years now, and I've gone really efficient at it. So I can, but the only thing I hate about editing on my iPad is how long it takes to download footage. Especially I have a Panasonic Lumix GH5. So they're big files, so it takes forever to download. So now I just take the card out, put it in my iMac, and then AirDrop them, and it happens immediately, and it's sped up the process. But I've opened up Premiere a couple times on my iMac, and I'm like, I'm gonna go back, and I just go back to LumaFusion every time because I've just
watch my video.
I need to
take some of that intimidation away.
I need to.
I'm going to. I mean, once you know where things are laid out and like the basics, it's not an intimidating program, and it's much more in depth than LumaFusion is. Like I use LumaFusion only because I don't like Premiere's mobile app, which they call Rush.
Yeah,
I don't like what they offer with that. So I think LumaFusion is a little bit heavier of an editor for your mobile stuff. So if I shoot something real quick in the shop and I want to make like 3 or 4 cuts, I'll use LumaFusion all day long because it's already on my phone. I don't have to then airdrop it to my computer and bring it back. Plus, I don't know about you guys, but I have this weird conspiracy theory that Instagram knows when you edit on Premiere.
Yeah.
I think that if you shoot anything, bring it into Premiere and export and then post it, you get just clobbered. Like they will not share it anywhere.
I will tell you,
I wouldn't know. I'm too lazy
I don't have
to
a
do that.
single video do extremely well that I've edited on Premiere.
Really?
Only the ones I've done on iMovie, like right off my phone or whatever, and put right on there.
Yeah.
Those
I
millions of views.
None of the ones I shoot in Premiere or shoot and then bring into Premiere and edit do well.
No.
None of them.
Not either.
But every single one that I will shoot on my phone, well, even if I shoot it on my phone, bring it into Premiere, edit it, and then put it back on my phone to post, don't do well. But if I shoot it on my phone, edit in LumaFusion, and then post, they do great, just like they should. It's the weirdest thing. It may just be me. I could be just an isolated incident, but
it's funny. Every time I spend a good amount of time on a video editing it, and I'm like, this is gonna kill it, and then I post it, it gets like 3 likes,
right?
And it's like 6 hours down the line. I'm like, I should probably just delete it. Like at this point, it's embarrassing,
right?
But yeah, on LumaFusion stuff, I do everything on there. Every post I do, I edit it on LumaFusion, and I don't know, it's been fine, but I've never done Premiere. That's funny though. Every time I spend hours on something and post it, it never does good for some reason, and it hurts a little bit every time. But
yeah,
Nick
for
knows
sure,
what
anything
that's
that I
like.
say, I really like this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I still have a gate closing video that I literally had nothing. I had nothing to post, and I was like, oh, this is dumb. But I put a latch on both sides. I opened and closed it, and it was a 10-second video I shot on my phone. It's my best watched video on Instagram, and I've reposted it over the last 3 years, like 5 times, and those 5 posts are my best watched videos.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is dumb.
It's infuriating.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've shot videos that I've actually set up lighting, number one, like multiple locations for shots, edit it to music so that it actually flows nice and has like a good feel. Post it.
Piano
I'm like,
thing.
I'm like, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that
nothing
thing was amazing.
Just nothing, right? The piano cabinet is a perfect example.
Yeah.
I think I got like not even 2,000 views on it, and then I throw away a freaking rigid nailer, and it gets like 1 million views.
Right. Well, I just put in an insert into wood, and on TikTok it's at 10.6 million views. Like, really?
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Makes me hate the world.
Right. I even put it on Instagram Reels, and it has like 300,000 or something stupid.
It's
I'm like,
ridiculous.
really?
It's just
Yeah, I don't
ridiculous.
understand.
Yeah.
I have put into every time I edit a video, because I think this is how people just watch Instagram. I make 3 cuts usually within the first 3 seconds of watching or of any video, because it gets the video going to where people, when they're watching it, feels like it's going somewhere. And how Instagram does it's the first 3 seconds is a view, right? So if someone watches past those first 3 seconds and you have 3 cuts, which kind of helps keep them on there just at least long enough, then Instagram will count as a view, which in return promote it. And so that's how a lot of my videos, I think, have done pretty well on Instagram, at least. And yeah, almost all my videos have cuts right away. And it just
Makes sense.
It makes it feel like it's moving faster.
Yeah, I think that was
That's
the
a
number one
theory
thing
of mine.
Nick told me after you edited my last video that you did was needed more cuts, more moving around, keeps people more interested kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at anything you watch on TV or in the movies, the longest they'll stay on one cut is, unless it's like a long speech or something that they're actually like delivering a long line, but it's like 3 to 4 seconds. So like that's not very long for someone to be talking, and then they cut. Even if they're making the same delivery, but they'll have 2 to 3 different angles. Mm-hmm. They'll go from a wide to a tight, back to the medium, back to the tight, back to the medium, back to the tight. So just constant movement keeps people engaged. It's one of those things that, I mean, I try to do my day job, but I don't do enough in the shop.
Well, how the hell do you do it in the shop?
Exactly, because we're one man band. We're like, me personally, I'm focusing on not screwing up what I'm cutting.
Right, or cutting your finger off.
Right. So the last thing I'm thinking about is this in focus? Is this framed well? Do I need to move this shot? I'm more like, I'm getting paid for what I'm building.
Yeah.
And the client needs to like this before YouTube likes this.
Right.
So at what point do you need to make the shift and be like, I'm building this for me, or I'm building this for YouTube, so I need to then think about all the different cuts. Do I have an establishing shot for what I'm doing, a medium to show a little bit more detail, and then a tight to show extreme detail of what I'm actually doing? And that's going to, cut down on productivity by, 10,000%.
Yeah, I'll say 10
I mean, it's going to take forever.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds like so much work.
Yeah, I mean, think about one cut. If you go wide in the shop, and then you come to a medium shot, and then you take a tight. If you're doing repetitive cuts, that could be easier. But if you're only going to make one cut, that's going to take forever forever.
Yeah, like
And nobody
turn
wants
off
to
the
do
saw.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're cutting something with a table saw, it'd be a little dangerous too.
Yeah.
Like I'm cutting it through, you like hold it and turn off, just wait until the saw turns off.
Yeah.
Move the
Don't
camera,
kick back.
do it
Don't
again.
kick back. Don't
Yeah,
kick back.
exactly.
All right, we're good. We're good.
I know. I already don't have a riving knife, so
Oh God.
No.
Oh, we got to work on that.
no, that's how I roll, man.
I'll never use a saw without a riving knife.
No, I broke that riving knife. Man, it's been about 2 years ago. I broke it off when I was
purpose?
No, it wasn't. Obviously, it wasn't on purpose.
It's like, screw this thing.
I don't need no riving knife.
I'm a rebel.
No, I was trying to tune up my saw, and it was kicked out like just a little bit, and I was bending it, and the actual cast iron that it attaches to snapped.
Oh, wow.
So it just like broke right off. I was like, well, I guess that's it for safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's high quality equipment there.
Yeah.
No, it's a Craftsman song. What can I say?
The first
they make
table
those,
saw that I had was a Craftsman saw that I bought for $20 from my neighbor, but it was a 15 amp table saw, which is, it had a little bit of juice to it.
Yeah.
And it didn't have a riving knife. And I was new to woodworking. And dude, there was a couple times where I dented my garage door, and I was just lucky that I was not standing directly behind the wood. And I'm not lying. Like, it shot it like a missile behind me and hit the garage door. And I was like, what was that? Like, I don't even know.
You're like, what was that? Well, should probably go pick that up and do it again.
Try that one more time.
I think I bought that. I bought a old school Grizzly table saw, and I think it was like a 3-horse or 2.5. Like, it was a 220 table saw, but it had no riving knife, and I was like, no. And I immediately just sold it, never even used it.
That's awesome.
I bought those like micro jig splitter things.
Yeah.
So
I have some.
Yeah, I do too. I never took them out of the box. I was like, I'm too
me
lazy
either.
to make my own insert, so
I'm not
doing
gonna do that.
And then I just sold it and bought the saw stop. So I was like, screw it.
Well, I feel really safe with my saw because the church I work for has a fully outfitted woodshop that I get to use just whenever I need to. And they've got a 5-horse Delta Unisaw back there that is just a monster.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's got like a 3-tooth blade on it right now that will just rip through anything. Like,
That's amazing.
3-2.
yeah,
It's like one blade from a dado stack.
yeah, it's a chipper. I'm pretty sure they just left the chipping blade in it.
Oh, that's amazing.
The old guys that are out there all the time volunteering and like fixing furniture and building beds and stuff for us, they're out there running it all the time, and they scare me to death because they'll run like just 2x4s or whatever and rip them in half, and they've got one guy feeding it and one guy pulling it. And that, I'm like, bro.
You gonna lose your finger for sure.
Yeah. Every time I'm in there to shoot a video for anything, like just getting B-roller, I'm always like, somebody is about to die, or somebody's gonna be, shedding some blood, and it's gonna be on film. But that thing out there, it has scared me so many times. Like, we were cutting some some 1/4-inch Luan one day, and my boss was out there running it. This is probably like five or 6 years ago, and he's like to my other coworker, we were out there filming him. He goes, "Hey, don't stand there over to the left of the cut." And my buddy's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Dude, don't stand there." So he's like, "Okay." So he moves. And immediately after that cut, huge kickback comes flying right through where he was standing. He goes, oh. I'm like, yeah, that's why you don't stand over there.
Understand now?
Exactly. Yeah. Because that saw is unforgiving. I'm pretty sure that it's like hardwired into like 1,000 amps. Yeah. I mean, it
takes 15 minutes for the blade to stop rotating once it turns it off.
It doesn't even stop. It's still running right now.
It's continuous. They just lower the blade.
They just lower the blade, yeah. It's an insane saw.
It's more efficient just to leave it on. It's like a diesel.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It takes longer to start up, so just keep it running.
It even has glow plugs. That's awesome.
3 days to stop spinning when you turn it off.
Right.
Dude, it's got to be that generation of woodworker too. They're just used to working with stuff that is not that safe and just dealing with it. My neighbor across the street that I learned to woodwork, the person who taught me the most about woodworking is a guy who lives across the street, but he's an older guy. And dude, he scares the living hell out of me all the time on the bandsaw, on the table saw. I mean, he just scares the shit out of me.
Have you ever seen somebody do a back cut on a table saw?
Yes. I've seen him do it on my table saw.
Wait, what's that?
1000% no. They cut it backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like remember, through the back. How does that?
I can't remember what the. Oh, I think like if you're. I can't remember why you would ever use that, but there is situations to where
it's supposed to be for like tear out prevention.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh God.
It was like my buddy cut his pinky off doing it at a cabinet shop. Yeah, idiot. And
there's nothing about that sounds like a good idea. It's like, hey,
I finally asked him like, so how'd you cut your finger off? And then like this is before I was into woodworking, and he's like, oh, we were back cutting on a table saw. I'm like, what does that even mean? And he's like
using the saw in the wrong way.
Right.
That wasn't built or made
the way you're
or designed
not supposed
for.
to do. And it was like a super old school table saw, dude. No riving knife, nothing. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And it was like a little piece, and it like caught and just threw his hand into the blade.
I was in my shop using my table saw one day and had my headphones on, noise canceling, and I'm just in there working. I think it's before I was doing YouTube and stuff, so I wasn't really videoing. And I'm pushing stuff through, and I look up, and out of the corner of my eye, I feel somebody like kind of walk up, and I look up, and it's my neighbor James from across the street, and he's standing there, and he's got a big rag over his hand, and I was like, "What's up?" He was like, "Hey, you got a first aid kit in here?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "I need you to fix me up before my wife finds out." I'm like, "What did you do?" He's like, "I didn't use a push stick on the bandsaw, and I cut my finger to the bone, I'm pretty sure." And he pulled it off, and sure enough, I was like, "Oh, man." I was like, "Dude, you need to go to the hospital and get some stitches or something." He's like, "You got any super glue?" I was like, "Yeah, I got some super glue." He's like, "Yeah, that'll work just fine."
He's like,
same thing.
And Jesse's like, "I got some Starbond actually, and if you use my affiliate link, you get 10% off at checkout."
Can we video this?
Yeah.
This would be an
excellent reel.
Yeah.
It's multi-purpose.
I was like, "Why don't you want your wife to know?" He's like, "I've cut my hand so many times in the bandsaw, I don't think she'll let me use it anymore if I tell her."
Yeah. She said one more time, and it was done.
Yeah.
She sounds like a smart lady if he's cutting himself so many times.
Oh yeah. Not too long.
At least he wasn't like, "What kind of fishing line and needles you got over here? Stitch me up."
You got any monofilament?
Yeah. 12
People
to
have shown
14 pound will work fine.
I know on at least 3 occasions people have showed up in my shop bleeding, needing help.
Man.
I'm not kidding.
That's what happens when you're that close with your neighbor.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's exactly what I was going to say. When you guys switch houses every other month, it makes sense that everyone's taking you weirdo.
Yeah. My neighbor, Brian, come over one. It was the day, you remember, I don't know if it was in y'all's area, but in our area we had the big eclipse. Nick, you may have had it pretty good up there. Remember years ago, like the big eclipse, and it got like absolutely dark in the middle of the day?
Yeah, I do remember that, yeah. Well, I tried to video it. It didn't work.
I took an awesome time lapse. It worked out great.
Oh, really?
I'll send it to you. Yeah. But I was in my shop working that day, and I look up, and Brian was standing in front of me, who's my neighbor and good friend, and he's got a rag wrapped around his hand. He don't even have a wood shop in his house. I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, "Man, I reached in the sink, and there was a knife in there, the chef's knife that James sharpened for him, and just sliced his hand wide open."
Oh, that is not where I thought that was going.
Oh, man.
I was like,
I thought it was going to be a garbage disposal story.
Oh, no. No.
That would be worse.
Stuck his hand in the sink, and his kid turned on the light switch, and
Not good.
No.
But he sliced his oven pretty bad. I couldn't super glue that one back together. He had to go get stitches.
wow.
Anyway, it was on the day of the eclipse. That's where I was going with that. That kind of was a weird segue, but that's how I remember that.
Good to know.
Have you guys had any serious shop accidents at all?
My worst one was in high school woodshop. We were making like end tables. That was like the first project you make. And I was running the top across the table saw, and it didn't have a riving knife. It was old school, like Powermatic. And I can't remember what, I think it got bound up because I was like cutting the end grain off basically. So it was longer from the blade to the fence than it was the other way. and I don't know why the woodshop teacher let us do that because you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But I was pushing it through and it got bound up or whatever, and so I just let go. I don't know what to do. I was 13 years old, you know. I was like, it's gonna stop and sit. No, it like jumped on top of the blade, spun around, hit me in the stomach. Like,
I love that your natural reaction is just to give up.
I
You're
think
like,
I was
nah,
like,
not
I think
gonna
I
do
like
it.
let go and like tried to jump out of the way is what happened.
Brandon's like, I think I stopped, drop, and roll at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's my fire.
Just say no.
Yeah, I think
Help me, Tom Cruise.
the worst I've had is just kickback. Like just a little bit, but I had just got a little bruise or whatever. It was just a small piece of wood, and it was the first 3.5 years of me having a shop was like a 1970s Delta, you know, and it had no riving knife, nothing. And so I didn't even know, like, I was like, yeah, it doesn't, whatever. I never knew anything else because it was the first table saw I ever used was the one I bought and just learned on. Never was taught, nothing. So I was used to it. But I only had kickback maybe twice. Yeah. And it hit me and I get a bruise, but it was always on small pieces. And that thing had no power. So the kickback was like, pew.
Yeah.
Like, it was so slow that it was like, okay, that's all right.
The first table saw I bought, I didn't buy it, it was given to me, and it didn't even have a fence. I was like clamping down this piece of angle iron on both sides. I'd like measure from the miter slot to the angle iron to like clamp it down. Yeah.
That's so sketchy.
Oh, dude. It was like the smallest Craftsman you could buy in the 90s, though. So it was like, even if it got bound up, it's just like, stops. I'm like, all right.
That's awesome.
I was just cutting pallet boards. It was fine.
I just hit a nail. It's good.
Yeah.
No big deal. I had that old Craftsman that I was talking about earlier, and when I started woodworking, it wasn't before YouTube and all that, but I had no idea like there was woodworking or anything on YouTube, and I didn't know a single person that did woodworking. Out beside myself, I just wanted to try it and get going. So I had no clue, no safety clue, no nothing when I started using the table saw. And the kickback, I took out the garage door a couple times, and then I was like, what in the hell was that? Like, I don't even know why it did. Like, I had no clue why it did that or what was going on at that point. And I was just completely lost. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't do whatever that was I was doing, and I'll try something different.
Yeah.
But yeah,
maybe don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, I didn't realize it was just because I was cutting, 2x4s and they were pinching back on each other and just shooting it backwards. It really wasn't anything I was doing other than just using a dumb table saw.
Right.
But yeah, it's a pretty bad kick. I've had some pretty bad kickback on the miter saw before.
Dude.
I've had it jump around pretty good on me. Like, I've just had to do the old, like, Brandon, throw the hands up and let it go for a minute, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of the way.
And then usually happens on, like, rough lumber, right?
It usually helps.
That flat edge.
It usually works.
Yes, absolutely. On that one, it totally works. I got the hell out of the way on that one. I just let that thing do what it did. And then back before I upgraded the electrical in my shop, almost every time I cut something more than, like, 2/4, the lights in my shop would go off in the middle of a cut.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's my shop still does that.
Oh man.
Dude, it's so bad. I have a video on my Instagram of my daughter was sitting on a stool next to me, and she was just hanging out in the shop watching me, and I'm cutting and I'm videoing, and all the lights go out, and I just stop cutting. She's like, Dad, what happened? We're just sitting in the pitch black in my garage where there's no windows. I was like, just don't move. Just don't move. I'll hold on a minute.
That's it.
That's crazy.
Yep.
The electrical is definitely the better way to go.
Yeah,
Nick, what are you currently working on in the shop, man?
Right now I don't have anything going on in the shop. I'm waiting to get started on my parents' coffee table. They've commissioned me to make them a mid-century modern coffee table. Gosh, it's been probably over a month or so ago, but it's just one of those things where, just everyday things where, COVID-19 and your lumber supplier burns down and, time and you got a day job, normal stuff, right? Yeah.
I expect that out of Brandon, not you.
Right. No, I don't live in California.
There was a lumber supplier here that burned down, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, no, in Central Kentucky. My actual lumber my lumber mill, my Sawyer, they had a fire inside their main building, and it almost gutted like their whole main operation. Thankfully, it didn't take any of their stock. It basically took their offices and their operations that they were finishing stuff. So like they were making this and that. They've got a small distribution thing they're doing with Amazon for live shelves or live edge floating shelves and stuff like that. So they lost that, but they've been totally rebuilding that. So I've been waiting on them to actually give me the green light that I can come down and actually sort through their walnut and, pick out what I want now. And I think I'll be able to do that either this week or next week. So I'll be getting started on that. But it's just a real simple, as simple as you could possibly think, mid-century modern coffee table with some bridle joints on the base and nothing special. My parents are like, can you make this as cheap as possible? I'm like, I guess.
Not out of walnut.
Yeah, out of walnut, yeah. But it'll be
yes,
4/4.
Don't worry about it. Just don't expect a Christmas present.
Exactly. Right. Let me send you my Amazon wish list, which has, it's all Pyromatic.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, no, I'll be getting started on that. But I actually, yesterday I tried to play I didn't try. I was an electrician, and I installed some lights in our house. I put 4 LED pot lights in a hallway and a closet. Awesome. And I decided it was so easy that I'm gonna put like 10 more in our house. They're so easy. Mm-hmm. You cut a hole in the drywall and you run some 18-2 and you tap it into whatever switch you want, and you're done. It's so simple. Yeah. I had no idea. I thought it was really hard, and I watched like one YouTube video. Now I'm a master electrician. So
as a master electrician, as somebody who is coming up in the electrical world, if you'll take your attention just to the side of Jesse Mullen's head here. Yeah,
this one?
As an electrician, would you...
Does that look straight to you?
Wait, what is up with that?
Do you see? So I did not do anything in this, like that, like any electrical stuff. I haven't done any of that stuff in this house. It's been such a nightmare. Like I have a sub panel in here, and like part of this sub panel, which this is an exterior like off of my shop, which is my garage, so it wasn't even connected to the house, but some reason this sub panel actually connects to just our stove in our kitchen but nothing else. And also when I got here, you had to have the light on for the switch for the stove to turn on, like the oven. If it was off, it wouldn't work.
No.
Yes.
So you're saying your stove is on a 3-way switch?
It was.
Oh, it was.
I fixed it. That's one thing I fixed.
How is that?
This
even?
I have not
Is your
fixed.
stove
It's just crooked.
No idea.
They pointed it out, and they're like, "How did you not notice that was?" Because I did hang this up, and I didn't even notice that was crooked. I just have, dude. I've had so many projects. I was like, I was throwing stuff up, and then they started making fun of me, and now I refuse to fix it. So
just leave it. Make it even more crooked.
Yeah, I know. That's what I done. The last podcast, I was like, every podcast, I'm just gonna slowly turn it
a little bit
it's a
more.
diamond. It's like
a straight 45 switch.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is your stove gas or electric?
No, it's gas, but it's
okay.
I was
like,
power
how the
on
hell are you putting a 220 through a light?
No. Yeah.
It just runs like
switch.
the clock and
Right.
stuff on the front, right?
Yeah. It powers
That's
your
how
oven.
mine is. Too.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. This
I'm
house.
currently I'm trying to switch out all my switches for GoSund. I think that's how you say it. Automatic switches, so you can just tell Alexa to turn your lights on and off, and dimmer switches,
like
and all
Wi-Fi
that.
switches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been slowly trying to integrate those all the way out, especially in my upstairs, because my kids. So in my new house, my kids' bedrooms are upstairs with their own bathroom and the bonus room, and our master's down. So now every single time that they leave the house, I have to go up there and turn off every single light that is upstairs because they never do. So I'm trying to put those wireless ones on all of their switches, so I can just tell Alexa to turn them all off, or set them on a timer, and it'll turn them all off, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Sound a little
It's actually
bit lazy.
it's kind of amazing how cheap that has gotten though. Like it's really they're not that expensive. It just little by little.
Well, that's what was so crazy is when I ordered a 6-pack of these 6-inch pot lights, and I was like, well, I think there was $60, so they're $10 a light, and I was like, seems really cheap, because I thought, if I wanted to have an electrician come and put recessed lighting, I thought for sure it'd be like at least $1,000 to get labor and the lights and everything put in. And I was out the door. I mean, of course I did it myself, but out the door under $100 for everything. Right. That's insane.
Yeah, it's super cheap.
I was like, what? I'm putting these all over. So I literally this morning, I ordered 8 more. I was like, send them. They're going in every freaking room in this house. I'm putting them all over.
You know what this sounds like, though? This is exactly how we all got started in woodworking, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
You can build it for that.
He's like, I have 420 of these can lights. I got addicted. I couldn't stop cutting holes in the sheetrock.
I got to wear sunglasses inside, but it looks incredible.
There's no hard shadows anywhere.
No. But I mean, I was kind of the same thing. Like when I installed I put American green lights in my shop, and after I put those in, I was like, man, these LEDs have come down so much, and they're so easy to deal with, that once I found out that you can get these can lights for so cheap, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
How do you like those American green lights?
Oh, they're literally the best shop lights I've ever dealt with. Like I've got a video on them on YouTube, and I titled it "The Best Shop Lights."
I saw that. I've got it in the queue.
They're amazing.
Brandon, you use those too?
No, I got the cheap Amazon single tubes, but I really do want to switch because I got 6500K, and it makes everything look blue or purple. Yeah. So it's super annoying.
Now I think Jason Bent has the Americans as well.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, a lot of guys do.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make that move to those. I like the lights that I have in mind, but they're actually I think they're actually for outdoor, but they have. I'm sorry, excuse me. But they're really bright and they're good and they're LED. But I think I'm gonna move those over to my other garage and put in the American green lights in the shop.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing that you'll see with the American green lights is they've got no flicker. So you can do whatever frame rate you want. You could do super slow motion up to 240 and not have any flicker. And the other thing is the high CRI, which is color rendering index.
Yeah. What is it for those?
95.
Oh, nice.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
My video lights that we pay, thousands of dollars for at work are 95, 96 CRI. So to have shop lights that are 95, that's insane.
Yeah.
And
I think
not only
currently are 86 or 88.
Right, and that's pretty high for a consumer grade light.
Right.
But when you jump up to 95, you'll be like, wow, this walnut looks like walnut on camera. This cherry looks like cherry on camera. This ash actually looks like ash. It doesn't look like pine or maple or everything doesn't look like southern yellow pine. Because what happens is when you have a lower CRI, that shift from more red goes to yellow. So you'll see a lot more yellow cast, and anything that has any bit of yellow gets boosted in the camera, so that your white balance on your camera gets jacked up and all of those yellows come out, and you'll be like, why do I look like I need to be, going to the doctor because I have jaundice? And it's because your shop lights. Because the camera
Brandon and I
can't
discussed this
compensate,
before.
Yeah.
Everything
always
doesn't lie.
looks yellowish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's because your low CRI value of your lights. Your eyes compensate because you know what skin looks like. So your eyes see everything looks fine in person, but when you start filming it, the camera is like, bro, I don't see any pink in your skin. You look like you're half dead. Your liver's failing.
You should probably see a doctor.
Right. Yeah. So you don't get that with the American green lights. So everything is very color accurate.
What temperature did you get, or does that even matter?
It really doesn't matter, but typically when you want to do anything working wise, you want to have a cooler more daylight, so 5,000 plus is recommended, because you don't want to be working in a soft white, air quotes.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't want to work in 3,200 because it's like
well, that's why
yellow.
I got these, because they're like 6,500 or whatever, but it's like too much. I think everything looks like it has like a bluish tint, or like So I don't know.
Well, you'll see that more like as like if I can't remember. Do you have windows in your shop at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that plays a big key, because sometimes you'll have mixed lighting, and if you have like daylight coming in, which changes all throughout the day, that could mess with your color temperature. But typically, if you're like 6,500, that's fine.
Yeah. It might be because I painted the walls gray. You can see it's like maybe that's
you might be just getting more color cast, which is a whole nother ball game. 5,600 is usually what most people like to aim for, so I went with their 5,000K.
Yeah, that was going to be my.
That's move. What I really recommend anybody go middle of the road right there at 5,000, just because it's not. I think high noon at 12 o'clock is 5,600 Kelvin, and then if you like as you go throughout the day, your color temperature is gonna trail off, but that's gonna be your highest like peak of color accuracy and what is like represented accurately. Mm-hmm. So you would see all of the colors throughout the spectrum, from red all the way to blue, everything in between, all the RGB stuff. But yeah, 5,000K, what I have in my shop has been phenomenal. And ever since I put them up, like, I haven't had the headache that I dealt with before of like, why is my skin tone so bad? Yeah. And then which led me to blacking out my outfeed table and everything else, because I was trying to kill all of that yellow cast.
Yeah.
And it was literally just my shop lights were such crap.
Jesse,
even though they looked great in person. So
I could see Jesse holding back a laugh for some reason.
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Me. Because I'm such a kid. Like, you said high noon, and for 10 minutes while you were talking, my mind went off to like a gunfight in the Old West, and I was thinking about that, and because I'm an idiot. I've got to go back and listen to this entire podcast after we get done, because I didn't listen to a damn thing Nick just said right there, and I just started laughing.
Well, I'll meet you at high noon.
Jesse's like, I grew up on black and white movies, and it's like, we know.
It's like I snapped back all of a sudden. I started laughing at myself, like, you're an idiot. What the hell are you doing? Sorry.
I'll see you at high noon with my Colt 45.
Well, we have to ask. You live in Kentucky, right? So, is there good barbecue in Kentucky?
Or
just fried chicken?
I was gonna say, do you mean barbecue as in bourbon?
I guess that's what you guys have good bourbon there, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know. Bourbon there.
Yeah, we have all of the bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we have good barbecue. I mean, there's places around here that I really like that's good barbecue, like crap.
He's like Red Lobster.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like some really crappy
Olive Garden. That's one of my favorites.
Chili's.
Applebee's
has some pork tacos that are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Go hit up the divorcees at Applebee's once in a while. That's pretty fun.
Half price appetizers after 10.
Get this sampler.
Yeah, there's some good barbecue places around town, but I wouldn't say that there's anything like real great, because I grew up in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And I know Texas barbecue, and nothing holds a candle to Texas barbecue for me. So I don't know if there's anything here that could compare. And then even on top of being in Texas, I also did a stint in Georgia, where I found this little hole in the wall out in the middle of nowhere. I think it was maybe in Albany, Georgia, or probably somewhere central Georgia, called Fresh Air Barbecue. That the best barbecue I've ever had in my entire life was at that place, and nothing has ever come close. So I don't know. I mean, this stuff around here is okay, but
yeah,
I'd rather drink the bourbon. It's better.
Once you've been to Texas and you go to Kentucky, then you got to make that swift move to bourbon because, dude. I mean,
Right.
I mean, I love Tennessee barbecue, but Texas barbecue, holy shit! Like, you get into Franklin's freaking briskets and all that down there, dude. It's Snows. Oh my god, just unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Did you see?
I watched the Chef's Table from Snows.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Man.
Unbelievable.
So we talked about this a little bit, but not only was the shows unbelievable, but the video, the videography and stuff in that.
I don't even watch what's happening. I'm
It's
just enthralled with the cinematography.
It's
like
unbelievable.
It's one of my favorite programs.
Especially
So did I say that wrong? Is
Australian
videography
guy.
wrong? Is it cinematography, not videography?
No, they're both.
It's cinematography is like the correct term, but you can say videography.
I would say videography is not a word. First of all.
Videography.
Videography. Look, we've had this discussion, all right? I can't speak. I have no way.
Yeah,
My family's
that
from
one
Canada
where
and Alabama. I'm done. I can't do
the
this.
guy from Australia that cooked on the fire, dude. That,
Oh yeah.
that was
Everything
like,
on the fire.
right. But I mean, like the videography on that one was amazing because like on the
Right.
fire mostly probably.
Because
but-
even on the second, I think it was the second episode where it was like in England or Scotland. I can't remember where it was, but it was in Europe somewhere. I'm pretty sure. And that guy was like kind of fancy, and he did really weird stuff where he like smoked salad and things like
yeah,
that.
that's the one
Yeah,
I'm talking about.
He barbecued
was
everything.
Was that in
Yeah.
Australia? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
yeah.
He did the
Yeah,
best
that
thing
one
with
like
the
I think he went to Europe to learn.
Okay. I was like,
or
I'm
something.
pretty sure because it was like this really lush green valley, and there was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this little town, and
Yeah,
that's where he
you're
learned.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where his
So-
like mentor lives or whatever.
yeah. So even that one where he's like smoking salad and stuff, like
Right.
it looked like I would eat it, but I wasn't like. But the just how they filmed the whole thing was just so intriguing to me that I just it flew by, even though like the food didn't look nearly as good as the Snows or the one in South Carolina where the whole hog barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh god, dude. So, but I love how it's shot. It's absolutely
It's unreal.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even the one in where South America, wherever they were at. Did you watch that one?
I don't know.
Oh,
if
in
I've gotten
Mexico.
Was it in Mexico? Yeah.
Yeah.
The lady.
Adios mio.
Yeah. Oh, that stuff looked pretty good too. They're like barbecuing in the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff. That's what I want to do, like professionally, film that kind of story. Like it's not about like what they're doing, and it's all of the storyline building up to the end product of that barbecue. You're like, I don't care what is happening. Everything is just so enthralling that you're like captivated because everything is so beautiful.
Yeah. Well, you kind of did that when you did your Africa trip. That was pretty,
I
that was
tried.
pretty
I
awesome.
really tried.
I thought it was an amazing video. I sent it to
yeah,
my
it
wife.
was.
She absolutely loved it too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, it was. I mean, when you go to places like that, it's hard to like if you know the basics of how to film, like it's hard to have a bad shot. Like because just the people and the places are so different from what you know on a day-to-day basis that like it's just amazing to film, and like nothing looks bad. It's crazy. Like everyday life over there is so different from here that the minute you put anything in slow motion over there, you're like, wow, this is amazing. It's so cool looking.
Yeah.
But like if you do that here, you're like, this is crap.
Yeah.
Kentucky sucks.
What is this, America? Come on.
But you did all that with a GoPro, right?
Yeah, I took my M50 with me when I went. Gosh, man, that's been over a year ago now. And yeah, I took my M50 and a GoPro, but I ended up shooting like 90% on the GoPro just because of portability and trying not to be like all up in these people's face with a camera and stuff. And
Well, the GoPro is a lot more stable, right? Like it's got better stabilization and stuff.
well, I brought a gimbal for my other camera, so it'd be about the same, but it is just one of those things of like, if I could grab a camera and hit go and capture whatever was happening at the moment versus like, do I know what's going to happen? Can I set up for this? Can I get ready? Can I do all that? Or do I just grab a camera and press record?
Right.
So it was the GoPro for the win for that, because that's all you do. You just hit go.
Yeah. The stabilization on the GoPro is insane.
Oh, it's unreal. Ever since the 7, So
even the
I've used
5 was pretty
GoPros.
good. Like we used them when I rode dirt
It's
bikes and
okay.
stuff, and we had them. Well, I'm saying like when it's on your helmet and you're like, oh, this is gonna look horrible, and then you get back,
Right,
you look at it,
yeah.
and like, this is pretty damn good actually. Like, how did they do this?
It has its faults. Yes,
Brandon's talking
But,
about
like-
he wears a helmet to mow the grass, by the way.
right.
Hey,
If you're perfectly
I go
still
over some
on your
pretty
riding
big
lawnmower,
hills, okay? Calm down.
we've used GoPros ever since like GoPro. I think we didn't buy any of the ones, and then we bought GoPro 2s,
I had a
3s, 4s. We skipped 5. We bought a 6, and then when the 7s came out, it was like night and day. Like everything completely changed with what they were offering. The Hypersmooth is just,
Yeah,
it's freaking bonkers,
that's
man.
what I have now because of you.
Yeah.
and I don't even
Yeah,
use
because
it.
of me. Sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I got a pretty
No,
sweet
actually-
setup to take pictures of it with. Like,
Brandon, I would like to one day you and I should sit down and tally up how much money that Nick Key has made us spend.
he's
in
about
our
to make me
woodworking
spend
careers.
more. I was talking the other day about
That's
a new
right.
camera. And he's like, here's my affiliate link.
That's right.
No, he
my
actually
affiliate
didn't.
link.
I was like, send me your affiliate link this time so you can actually get paid for talking to me for an hour.
Yeah.
That
I'd
33
appreciate a
cents
little
is really
kickback.
going to, change your life.
That's right. No, but for real, I was shooting. I shot a video at work last week, and I mean we shoot with cinema cameras, so I'm shooting on a Sony FS5, which it's a big deal. And I was like, I got to get some B-roll for this video, and I was like, well, I could get the other camera out and get the gimbal out and do that, and then go down and shoot a bunch of stuff, or I could get our GoPro 8 out and just walk around for a bit. And I totally just got the GoPro out and shot B-roll with the GoPro, and you can't tell a difference. There's like almost no difference now. If you shoot flat profile with it and then correct for the really wide angle lens, it looks incredible. It's nuts. I mean, the fact that I can walk around with a camera like smaller than my wallet is nuts. It's
Just out of my curiosity, when you're doing stuff like that for what you do on your daily, do y'all just film, or do you have somebody that actually directs in what you're filming and helping y'all out, or do you have just a bunch of people filming?
It always depends. So it depends on what we're shooting. This past video, for instance, it was just it was 2 people that were going to be talking heads, and I had them come into the studio and they teleprompted, so it was just them in there. So I was the director, producer, camera operator, all of it, everything. So it depends on the task. So like that video was me and only me, and I would edit, produce, and send it out. But if we're doing larger productions, like say a music video, we may have 6 shooters with cameras, and 1 person is directing. So if it's whoever's project this happens to be, they'll be the director, and then possibly they may be the producer, or somebody else might be the producer. It always just depends on what's happening and whatever the project may be. But a lot of times we're one-man band with a lot of it, and we may. So there's 3 of us, by the way, that are full-time media producers. Gotcha. And we may call on each other for help to shoot a second camera for something, or just be a grip, which is basically just help us set up and whatever. But for the most part, we handle all our own videos by ourselves.
That's cool. I was just curious. I didn't know how that worked. I know that's kind of I look at movies as a large scale, and then you know what I mean? Like there's a medium scale and there's all kinds of stuff. So I wasn't sure at what point you kind of have to have that.
We're more on like an indie film level where we handle we do all our own audio, we do all our own video, we do all our own editing and all of that stuff. Whereas like on the larger productions, you'll have people that come in and they only deal with the talent, and they tell them where they're going, what they're doing. And then the talent only knows what lines they have to say when. And then you have people that are only only operating the cameras, people that are only capturing sound, people that are only pulling focus,
Right.
that kind of thing. So you can go from that big of a production all the way down to where I'm doing all of it.
Gotcha.
So it's one of those things where it just depends on how big of a thing that we're trying to do, and it varies all with pretty much every video that we do. So
you do a lot of their social media stuff, like as in doing like testimonials during the week and doing short little excerpts. That's a lot of what you do.
Yeah, that's one of the side things that we do.
Yeah.
So I do everything from all of the content that you'll see on the screens on the weekends, and then anything that you'll see posted on our social media stuff, we handle all of that stuff also. So anything video related, we handle all of that.
That's crazy. How many people are in your church? You say it's a mega church. What constant? Because I went to a mega church in Missouri when I lived out there for a year.
Yeah.
And I forget there's like a threshold, isn't there, to be actually considered a mega church?
I don't know what the threshold is, but
You guys
want to say our lot.
Quite a few thousand, right?
I think we have about 14,000, 15,000.
It's crazy.
We have 5 campuses, so
Okay.
yeah. So we have like a one home central campus that we then simulcast everything out to on Sunday mornings, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So you have one home base, and then every other church will actually just see a screen, basically, of
just for the message portion. Everything else is live in the room. Yeah,
Very
but then
cool.
we will pipe in just the message portion from the main auditorium. And it's funny because we have done all of the math and have made all of the projections life size. And if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know he wasn't in the room.
So he's like 6
Really?
feet tall.
Yeah.
And that's
On
cool.
stage, center stage.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's
It's pretty
crazy.
cool looking.
That's
yeah,
really
a lot.
cool.
I mean, there's been several occasions where we've heard people are like, "Oh, it was great to see John this morning," or so and so this morning, and we're like, you know, he wasn't there, right? I mean, he was over, and they're like, "What?"
That's
Like, no, yeah, it's simulcast. We stream them over.
That's
Pretty soon
crazy.
you're gonna be doing like holograms, like Tupac.
Right? Yeah.
and,
I mean, it's like
It'll get
like
there.
you were watching Tupac, man.
yeah, right? Dude, that was crazy. When I watched the videos, I'm like, what? It's so crazy that's you can even do that.
Yeah,
Well,
it's wild.
Nick, thanks for coming on, dude. We've already been an hour and 10 minutes. That's crazy.
Jeez,
I know.
Went by
time
fast.
flies.
Just-
Thanks for coming on, everyone. If you don't follow Nick, go follow Nick on all his channels. It's all Key Woodworks, right?
Yep, that's everywhere.
Hey,
So
what about your
follow-
podcast? Which podcast?
Oh yes.
Oh, we have a small podcast, Shop Sounds podcast.
Yeah.
Some two no-namers, Keith Johnson and Jason Hibbs, Bourbon Moth and KJ Sawdust.
You're obviously the
Yeah.
star of that one.
Yeah, I'm the big guns over there. I just keep them around, let them ride my coattails, you know.
yeah.
You're such a giver.
I am. I'm a giver.
Well, make sure you guys go follow them. Thanks for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe to the podcast, and rate us if you haven't as well. Apparently that does help. Other than that, go build something.